So,
everyone would want to make nope sleeves. All right, so Chris VanMeter, UW Stoneforge.
UW.
Ulysses Washington Stoneforge versus Merfolk. What's special about this Merfolk deck? It's got Curse Catcher, Marrow Reejerey, Silvergill, Coral Helm, Phantasmal Image, a newbie to the Merfolk squad. Kira, Great Glass Spinner, not actually a Merfolk.
No, but she's really good in the deck.
Lord of Atlantis. So this is a mono islands type of Merfolk with 4 Wasteland, 4 Mutavault, 20 lands total. So it's not like Tomohiro Saito's Merfolk deck, which splashed. He's got Spell Pierce, Daze, Force of Will, Aether Vial, and then Dismember. So one of the big innovations coming out of New Phyrexia is obviously Dismember, which made it so that Merfolk would not auto lose to cards like Peacekeeper
or Batterskull.
So I mean, I just went and bought like $15 Peacekeepers at the last SCG event. I was like, oh, this will make me auto win against Merfolk. And they're like,
I did the
why
same
don't they
thing.
just play Dismember?
I didn't spend that much on mine, but I did buy Peacekeepers, and then Dismember was printed. So we have an Island Curse Catcher from Tony.
So let's see. Is Ulysses Washington Stoneforge a good matchup against Merfolk? Like the card Batterskull's quite solid against them, right? Is that accurate?
Just trying to go right into the Batterskull?
I'm just saying, like, just in general, Blue-White Stoneforge, it's good against Merfolk.
Yeah, well, because of Batterskull, yeah.
It was not good against it previously.
No, I mean, the thing is, the Merfolk decks are able to... they're just good against blue decks. That's traditionally the thing, is Merfolk is just good against blue. They have the Island Walk kind of thing. They have a whole lot of counter spells. There's like pressure plus counter spells and Island Walk. But Stoneforge Mystic and the Batterskull makes it a lot more...
Look what a hater Chris VanMeter is. He tricked me. His creature says 2 Vanilla and click 4 Stoneforge Mystic. I'm going through his spells, and his spells include Spell Stutter, Sprite, and Snapcaster Mage.
Wow, what
He's
a
just
trickster.
like, literally, he himself is like a trickster mage. Like...
So, Plains from Chris VanMeter.
Silvergill Adept is such
So
a
good.
heartbreaker.
So good.
Like, it draws a card, so you hate putting a removal spell against it.
So,
I think for the most part, Merfolk's not that hard to play against if you're not mana screwed, right? Like, their counters are not hard. They have 4 Force of Will, and they've just got Daze and
Like
Spell
Daze,
Pierce.
right, yeah.
You just like...
So Kira Great Glass Spinner. This is gonna obviously make any removal or any kind of targeting. You need twice as much, right? You need to kill the Kira, and then kill the Kira. Try to kill the Kira again to actually do it. So,
like, here's a good example. He's using Force of Will. What did he
just remove the Snapcaster?
Did he
Mage?
discard the handsomest man in Magic?
It is, yeah.
Next to Brian Kibler, I mean.
Right on. Yeah, he did. Unfortunate. But yeah, Force of Will, removing Snapcaster Mage, counters the Kira Great Glass Spinner. And Tony gets in there with the Silvergill Adept and the Curse Catcher for another 3.
Randy Buehler named his daughter Kira.
Was that pre or post the Great Glass Spinner version? And a Swords to Plowshares for the Silvergill Adept.
He may have been the boss of Magic at the time.
Fair plan. Just really quick about Iona. I said she was tricky. I was trying to say exactly what this person on Twitter just said. She's tricky, meaning like you just name like white for plow, blue for force, X for mono. That's exactly what I was trying to get at, but we were getting distracted by what else was happening.
35 seconds.
Sorry for the confusion. I didn't mean to say that.
Is that
anything
Mutavault?
otherwise. So
Mutavault.
that is Mutavault.
Is Mutavault superior,
is-
inferior to... Isn't Mishra's Factory considered to be
No, Mutavault is a Merfolk.
in Chris VanMeter's deck?
Oh, and it's a fairy for Spellstutter Sprite.
Oh, it's a fairy for Spellstutter Sprite. I
Yeah.
see.
Another Kira from Tony Payton. And this time Chris is, looks like he's lacking answers. I see like a Spell Pierce in his hand and then like Fetch. I see another Swords to Plowshares. But the problem is it's going to take 2 Swords to Plowshares.
It counters the first one?
Yeah.
He only has 2 Kira Great Glass Spinners, I think, right? Yep.
Yeah, like creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability for the first time in a turn, counter that spell or ability. So it resolves. and it's going to basically take 2 bits of removal just to deal with Kira, because the first one gets countered. Now, does he play Vidalcan Shackles? Because that's a way to like kind of get around it, where you can go, you know, either swords and then shackles it, target it with shackles and steal it, or target it with shackles first and then swords it. Either one, but it doesn't look like he has shackles. But you know, he can do like Jace bounce, then swords it. You know what I mean? But it just takes that much more.
So Chris is playing with the card Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah.
Previously, I'd seen a lot of Sword of Body and Mind. Is the move away from Sword of Body and Mind? Can we correlate that somewhat with the Re-Rise and Reanimator?
Could be. Also, more people playing Dismember. Possible.
Because I feel like Sword of Body and Mind should be wicked against this Merfolk deck.
Yeah, and he's not playing it. I mean, sometimes it's about just making them discard and untapping lands. Like, it just seems so strong.
But I guess just chump with some doofuses, right?
Yeah, but even then, like, you're killing their doofuses isn't the worst either, right?
Killing their doofuses isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing if they're chumping. All right, so Coral Helm Commander levels. Pretty much the only Rise of the Eldrazi leveler that really sees much play. Right? I mean, nobody plays many of the other ones.
Jiraga Tree Speaker.
Oh, that one was really good. But, I mean, I guess that one still could see some legacy play. Fire and Ice, obviously, yeah, that's very good versus Merfolk. I guess the thing is, Batterskull's probably just the trump versus Merfolk, so it's not necessarily like you need to strengthen the Merfolk matchup. You want the, you have Batterskull for that.
Aether Vial, is that Aether Vial moving to 2?
No, that's Coral Helm Commander.
Oh, Coral Helm Commander, sorry. We were just talking about this a second ago. It looks pale to me, though.
It does look a little bit pale, but it is a Coral Helm.
What's up with its text box? The text box is all messed up.
No, that's the leveler text box. It does look funny. I agree. I see what you're saying. It looks kind of like it has something in there, but it's actually just, I think, fine. Just normal. It looks weird. So the Coral Helm levels like crazy and gets in there, and Chris VanMeter scoops it up. Unable to fight through all those guys, and the Kira Great Glass Spinner made it really difficult for him to even spot remove any of those guys.
What's so great about Kira Great Glass Spinner in this matchup? It seems like he can combat him pretty well still, right?
Well, he didn't there. That was pretty
he didn't draw anything.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
He drew 2 Plowshares and 2 Force of Wills.
Right. And he tried to he countered the first Kira and then used his first swords, and then his second swords to Plowshares was dead once he couldn't counter the second Kira. It just makes them have to have more removal now. Does he have any Wrath? Yeah, he's got 1 Wrath of God in the sideboard, but that looks like it.
He has 4 Pad to Exile, though.
Yeah, but again, see the
Batterskull and Jide in?
Yeah. Bring in Batterskull.
Do you take? I heard a theory that you don't want.
Oh wow! The second draft open. This is just a report from Jeremy. The second draft open has Kibler, who dropped. Jerry T. All these guys obviously dropped or just aren't playing Legacy, but Kibler, Jerry T, Edgar Flores, Ben Weinberg, and Ali Aintrazi. And that's just that we can see from here.
Do you obtain SCG open points for doing well on the draft challenges?
Mm-hmm.
So there's all different ways to level up in the SCG Open Series. You can put counters on Coral Helm Commander. You can play all different formats from Legacy, Standard, Drafto.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, all the different ways, the different options here. Like just these weekends, you're like, I don't want to play Standard. Okay, I'll draft.
Why wouldn't you want to play Standard?
Okay, I want to draft. I don't know. I'm just saying these are. Everybody likes different things.
I was afraid this Standard was going to be miserable because I don't like linear standards. Like I really dislike linear standards for the most part. But
oh yeah, the in the current season, the 5th through 8th place in the draft open gets 1 point. Third and fourth gets 3 points. Second gets 5 points, and first gets 10 points for winning a draft open. So
How does that compare to?
points for like the other
Yeah.
events. It's actually Evan's tweeting it at us too.
Evan's paying a lot of attention.
Right, he is. He's
cracking
watching
the
some
whip.
SCG live. I'd be watching SCG live if Mike Flores and Joey Pasco were on it.
Mike Flores and
would
Joey
be-
Pasco are on it, and you are not.
You're right. Wait,
You're
I
not.
lied. I'm totally not watching. If Mike Flores and X were on it, I'd be watching. How's that?
I told you before. You're
That's-
actually my
that's still a
favorite
plus.
commentator to watch. Like, I honestly feel like you are staring straight at me when it comes to the in between things. I'm like, it looks like Joey's looking right at me, and no other commentator is like that. Like Adrian's like scribbling in his little book. Like whenever like I catch Adrian, he's like looking at this, writing these things down in his little notebook, and he never refers to the notebook again.
He
writes
does
it
actually. You just don't
Never
ever
refers
see
to
it.
the
You don't ever
notebook.
see it. He does it. He's very sly with referring to the notebook. So these guys, obviously, like we said, Batterskull is huge against Merfolk. Almost definitely brings that in. And the Path to Exiles seem like absolute. Yeah, it seems like you definitely would bring the Paths to Wrath. Wrath of God would have been really
Yeah,
good
Wrath
there.
seems good.
But he's got 4 swords, so 4 swords, 4 path. Like it's a lot of spot removal, and that's a lot of slots to cut. But just to answer your question, Evan just answered for us. Legacy Open winner wins 20 points for first, 15 points for second. Third and fourth place get 10 points, and then if the other top 8 players get
so it's
5 points. So
infinity more points for
it's a lot more for the bigger
for
tournaments,
winning
right?
winning Constructa, because
Much bigger tournaments.
I mean, Johnny
And much
Magic was
longer.
telling me, because he did well in the Edison Draft Open. I think he came in second in one or something. He's like, that was fun. I think I will play in more of those. And I'm like, John, you know there's this such thing as like the SCG Invitational. And he's like, ooh, what's that? I'm like, it's kind of like a Pro Tour, but it's like for the SCG Pro Tour. And he's like, oh, is it like real hard? Like, will Paulo and LSV be playing in it? And I was like, no. And what?
Brad's playing in the
And
winning
so we were gonna go to the one in Indy, but then he bailed on me at the last minute. He was just like, "Oh, now I have to prepare for Standard." I forgot that actually playing in Magic tournaments you had to prepare. So, but he's actually preparing hardcore for Worlds. It's like Johnny just top 16 the last Pro Tour. He might have the fire again. It's hard to tell because Johnny without the fire is still so good that like his no fire is as good as his. Most people don't know this. He won Pro Tour Koala Land
Yeah.
Tour because he could take a tax write-off on upgrading his seat to business. So he wouldn't pay for the... He's like made of like a mountain of gold pieces, okay? Like, he's got a mountain range of gold pieces, and he's like, well, I can't really justify buying the first-class seat to Malaysia, but I can take a write-off if I do business class. I guess I'll play the Pro Tour. Oops, I won. Like, that's literally what happened.
Wow. Well, look, I'm looking at a Tony sideboard here, and he's got Surgical Extraction, Spell Pierce, Phyrexian Revoker, Submerge, Echoing Truth, Umezawa's Jite, and Dismember. It's just got one Dismember. I feel like Dismember seems like a reasonable way to just deal with the Batterskulls that Chris inevitably will be playing. Both players mull to 6 and lead on an island. And obviously Chris VanMeter on the play there. Turn 2, plays a Scalding Tarn, and passes back.
I love Scalding Tarn. It's my favorite sack land.
Yeah, it looks a lot like a Steam Vent.
It does. Do you like Polluted Delta more or that one?
I don't really have a preference. Silvergill Adept.
That guy is such
Resolve.
a hater.
What a jerk.
Would you like counter Magia Silvergill Adept?
Yes,
He's gonna attempt to.
yeah,
Yep.
Spell Snare. That's
That's even better. You can't. He's like, daze me, brah.
Yeah.
And I've seen the SCG live sleeves. I have those, but
Don't daze me, bro. So yeah, the Adept does not resolve.
where's his Stoneforge Mystic? I want to see Tundra Stoneforge Mystic.
Tundra. Here's the Tundra. Don't know that we're seeing the Stoneforge this turn. And there go. Yeah, so
This deck is not a draw go deck, right? He doesn't want to draw out the games, right? He wants to make active good plays. Am I correct in that?
it's not as draw go. It's more draw go than Tony's deck. You know what I mean?
mean- He's got to go for Snapcaster style here, right? Snapcaster,
Yeah, here we go, Snapcaster.
rebuy spell.
That's probably the plan. He's got to see if that resolves. So that resolves. Crack my
Do you go for
Stolen
Tundra
Time.
here?
He's got one Tundra.
I think you go for
although
Tundra. Like, he needs
it's-
2 Wastelands to screw him.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Tundra.
And we have a Spell Pierce
Whatevs.
for the Spell Snare.
I mean, it's even though, right? Like, Snapcaster Mage is even with Silver Go out of her.
Yeah.
So, whatevs. And there's no Curse Catcher. And Tony already flashed the entire world that he was going to play a Curse Catcher before Chris backed him up. So,
Or he had to reveal a Merfolk anyway. That's why he flashed it to the entire world, I believe.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he did.
There's
flash
no
it to the
Curse
entire-
Catcher.
That's true. He kept the Curse
There was
Catcher
gonna
off
be
the
one.
board.
Can you imagine if there was no Merfolk requirement on Silver Go Adept? It would just be played in every deck, right?
It'd be like
just run it.
Snapcaster Mage, right? I mean, it just doesn't have flash.
I mean, that would just be an abusive creature, actually. He's bringing? Hell yeah. Get in there, Snapcaster Mage.
Tiago Chan on the attack.
And what do we got? Mutavault.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I thought it was Mind Sculptor.
3 mana. 3 mana for a Vendilion Click.
Main phase?
Huh?
What the?
Does appear to be main phase. And there's Aether Vial, Curse Catcher, Wasteland, Mutavault.
So not a thing he could ever possibly want. Just keep him. I mean, would you ship the Aether Vial?
That's the only thing I'd consider shipping.
I wouldn't even. He has no creatures.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like
Keep
that's why
'em.
I'd consider it because it seems like it's so dangerous.
No,
I can understand just leaving it. Yeah,
No,
just
full on
I
keep
think
'em.
I just think that makes sense to me. Is what I mean.
He's going on O, right? So I think Silver Gallop's gonna rumble, and he's gonna be like, whatevs.
Yeah, exactly.
No blocks. Ing blocks, we should say. Ing blocks.
Ing blocks. I'm not sure. I understand
Blocks.
that. I don't know.
You need to dial it back a little bit.
All right, so
Old
there's a
school.
Wasteland for Chris VanMeter's Mutavault. Tony activates his own
Rumble.
Mutavault. And
I would
rumbles
actually
into 4.
block the Mutavault.
Yeah, the
That's
Mutavault
actually
doesn't
awesome.
Doesn't seem like it's too bad. But
Stone Rain me. Block.
I
The,
do-
oh, he can plow the vault actually.
oh, that's good.
That's
yeah,
actually
it's even better.
redonkulous. That's even better than blocking the Mutavault.
Yeah, because he's. I was kind of thinking, why not just take the 2 and just keep rumbling in for 5?
Legacy
so
is
now Tony
such a
plays that Aether Vial and has a Curse Catcher in hand as the only creature that we know of.
Legacy is such a mystery to me. Like everything that happens is just like,
And in for 5 from Chris VanMeter.
how is this? Like
Snapcaster and Vendilion Click.
the games are even crazier than the games we saw yesterday.
Yeah, they are. I mean, that's what
Like-
makes Legacy so much fun. And it's cool. Like, I feel like I'm just... All right, so pass it back to Tony. Now Tony in the red zone with the Silver Girl Adept. And
Do you sack here? You probably want to draw a spell. Oh, Get's not because you're going to brainstorm.
yeah,
Is that Batterskull's his other
that's
card?
he just drew a Batterskull, yeah. So
Alright.
Chris brainstorms.
1, 2, 3. He knows there's a Curse Catcher, so he doesn't want to do anything hyper foolish, right?
Right.
That's not a standstill, is it?
He's got, no, I don't think so. He's got Island Force. There's no standstill available in the deck, no. I saw Island Force. So he's got Island Force, Batterskull. I think it was Spell Pierce. Had a lot of trouble. He's flipping it so fast I can't see.
He saw Kibler earlier.
Yeah. Is that Jace? Is that what that is? Yeah, it's Jace. That's what it is.
He could bait the Curse Catcher with a Jace, and then play
And then
Batterskull.
Batterskull.
Probably not, though. Probably just wait.
I mean, the problem is he's losing what he puts back if he wants to crack that fetch, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
So-
do nothing is much better.
Yeah.
Just play a land and shit.
Lay out your pack to your left, you should have 11 cards. Pick up your pack, you have 25 seconds.
Do you like that attack?
Yeah, I do. I think I like that Chris is kind of going, putting some pressure on Tony.
Well, I
especially.
mean, the alternative is to swing with both creatures.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to leave back a blocker at the moment because now he's got that Vendilion Click until Tony can deal with it, and he's got a blocker to deal with to trade with whatever Tony decides he wants to do here. So he's basically
So
holding off that entire army kind of with the Snapcaster, or just basically saying, all right, you're going to trade a guy. Because by attacking with the Snapcaster, he gives Tony the option to just not block and not lose a guy. But in this case, now Tony doesn't have the option to not lose a guy if he decides to attack.
So he's
But
rumbling.
he rumbles
Who's he
him,
gonna
it's
block?
fine.
I think he should block the Curse Catcher.
I like blocking the Curse Catcher. Even though it's just one, and he still loses his guy.
But then he can tap out for whatever
resolve Jace
spells he wants the
or
next
whatever.
turn.
Yeah, I mean,
You have 20 seconds.
Really? Why the Adept over the Mutavault now?
yeah, I don't know if I
If
like.
you're like,
Yeah, I would go Mutavault over Adept for sure.
I'm sorry, so yeah, so like 2/1 versus 2/2, and then a land is better than a dude. I mean, right?
I would think so. Yeah, I agree. I'm
Seconds.
Maybe because he has Wasteland access.
Draft, lay out your pack. You should have 8 cards. Pick up your pack. You have 20
He doesn't
seconds.
have Wasteland access. There's no Wasteland in Chris's deck. I think his Wasteland should have been blocked with Snapcaster Mage. Oh, I see. Playing around the if Tony were to violin a Lord,
Oh, so then
That
the
makes
Silver will
sense.
only be a 3/2.
right? That makes sense.
Draft, lay out your pack. You should have 7 cards. Pick up your pack. You have 15 seconds.
So that's much better. So he's going Batterskull, tapping 5 for Batterskull.
5 seconds.
And it is counter Magiad.
Draft, lay out your pack. You should have 6 cards.
What types of cards can Curse Catcher counter?
Just instants or sorceries, so it actually doesn't. I thought it was non-creature, but it's actually it can counter just instants or sorceries. So Batterskull and Jace are both safe.
So Josh Ravitz and I were testing a few years ago, playing Merfolk, and we didn't have the real cards. Like the cards had just been like spoiled or whatever, so we just like scribbled them on a piece of paper, and we were like force spiking Tarmogoyf with Curse Catcher. Like this guy is savage. Like boom, force spiker. We saw like the real one. We're like, oh, this is not nearly as good as it was when we were playing it. Like,
So Jace the Mind Sculptor, in the meantime, comes down, resolves, and fate seals Tony Payton. And he leaves it on top.
Lay out your pack. You should have 3 cards.
Gets in with a Tarmogoyf, both players, just into single-digit life totals. 2-turn clock for Tony, or 2 more swings from that Vendilion click are gonna take Tony out.
Pack. You have 5 seconds.
And
The last card, please.
Tony not.
Done so. Close.
Looks like he's is he attacking Chris or Jace or
You will see where you are supposed to go for your build. Table numbers are marked here. Silently grab your items. Go to the build table.
it's not clear what's happening here. He's looking at his
he's
graveyard.
looking at a card. Is it Plowshare? They're adjusting life total.
Okay. So looks like Mutavault and Curse Catcher smashed into Chris VanMeter and not Jace.
So put him. So that's 3 damage. So he's not dead. He can Fate Seal up. Make sure there's no lore.
So Chris VanMeter with 5 lands, Vendilion Click, and a Jace the Mind Sculptor on 5 counters. Facing off against Tony Payton with double Aether Vial, 3 islands and a Mutavault and a Curse Catcher. in
I like
play.
this sequence. So if there's no lord, he swings.
Right, so
And if there's a lord, you know,
He doesn't,
he
right.
leaves back. Or he can't block if there's a lord, right?
Yeah, he can't block if there's a
But
Lord.
if there's a lord,
so-
then he pushes.
Yeah, exactly. So another Curse Catcher joins
Or-
the first one, so...
That's 1. And that's game.
Yeah, so that should tie it up there, 1-1. Chris VanMeter versus Tony Payton here in Nashville. StarCityGames.com Legacy Open Series.
Yet to draw his cards.
Yeah.
He was literally just like Snapcaster style, Vendilion style.
It's good.
Beat down.
They're good. They're powerful cards. I mean, and they're legal and modern. That's the other thing. I mean, that's what we were looking at my modern deck the other day. Like,
Yeah, you need.
it needs to be more powerful. You're right. But it's a brew, you know. But it's basically mono flash guys, right? It's Snapcaster Mage, Vendilion Click. We saw those. Spell Stutter Sprite, which we didn't see, but they are in Chris VanMeter's deck. And then I'm playing like Familiar's Roost, And
I don't like
one
that card
copy.
at all.
I just think it's a one of, it's a misers, and every single creature has value with it. So like return and reuse a spell stutter sprite, return reuse a snapcaster mage. It's like a one-use Riptide Lab that also counters a spell. You know, like I can reuse any of those cool guys. You know, like I need to Vendilion Click you again, or whatever. I need to counter a spell, I'll return my Vendilion Click and just replay it. I can even replay it in the same turn and still have it, you know, now it's just untapped and I get that extra ability if I want. So it's supposed to have a lot of synergy, but you're right, it seems like it needs a little more muscle. All the guys are kind of little.
Do you think Tony Payton has his GT in just to deal with the other GT? Or Revoker for... I mean, Revoker can deal with Stoneforge Mystic, it can deal with...
Yeah, Revoker's pretty good. It's kind of funny, I feel like Revoker's seen more Legacy play than Standard.
It's funny when you look at Legacy, like, some of the cards that people play are so jankety, like, you would just never see them play in some smaller formats, but because of, like, the specific constraints of Legacy, you know, Echoing Truth is like, oh, that's such a corner card in Standard.
Yeah. Well,
like,
it's not in Standard.
No, when it was in Standard.
Yeah.
So it was fairly rarely played. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, oh, well, we gotta have Echoing Truth, right? Because you can't repeal a Gaddock Teague. Mm-hmm. I think that's the main reason people have Echoing Truth instead of repeal, right?
That's pretty good. That's pretty much what it's all about there. So looks like both players. Chris has presented his deck, and Tony looks to be finishing up some shuffling here. So, question from Twitter about mystical teachings in that deck. It costs 4. I'm about in my modern deck. Right. It seems like I definitely have it there in the pile of cards that
What
I
do you
was
have?
thinking about.
Can you play Teferi in Modern?
You can play Teferi in Modern, but it costs 5. That's the problem. Like, I want to play these cards. I want to play Teachings and Teferi. I was trying to build a deck that had tons of synergies. It has Sword of Feast and Famine and a bunch of flash creatures. So, like, when
you can't cheat on the sword. That's the thing.
No, you can't cheat on the sword. You can't play Stoneforge Mystic, but that doesn't make the swords bad.
Well,
you know
in Modern, it might.
Well,
right?
I guess
like your time is so constrained. It's even worse than Legacy, right? It's basically Legacy without Force of Will keeping it in check.
That's a good point. I'm kind of building blind too because the format is, now that the banning's happened, it's hard to determine exactly what kind of format it's going to be. Tony leads with Island and Curse Catcher. Anybody wants to see that deck, it's my most recent post on my blog. It's affinityforislands.com.
All right.
And that was that's the rough sketch for the moment, anyway.
Island versus Plains. An
Island
epic
wins.
struggle.
Island
wins. Okay.
I have a feeling, though, Chris VanMeter knows this and will play an Island soon. Especially considering we have his deck list in front of us and seen 2 games.
Silvergill Adept. Oh, he should have played an Island so that he could counter Magia that.
Reveal a Miro Regery.
That's a lord of some sort, right?
I think, it is a lord.
Do you just, like, force this? Yeah, I was thinking maybe force.
Force removing counter
Counter
spell.
Magia.
He's got another force in hand, by the way. Flooded Strand. Not an island, but it can get an island. Yeah. A couple people on Twitter mentioning about Echoing Truth against something like Empty the Warrens, Goblin
Oh,
Tokens.
it's awesome
Seems
there.
ridiculous there. It's like Sever the Bloodline.
It's exactly, except for, like, way faster.
Yeah. So Coral Helm Commander for Tony. And don't know if it's resolved yet, but certainly it's on the table as far as yeah, it's hit.
Oh,
the
and he
table.
wants to
And
level
he levels it.
immediately.
Yeah, and now he has the Swords to Plowshares.
Nice.
That is a nice way to waste some of Tony's mana.
Is that Wrath?
Didn't quite see. He's got a Tundra, which he plays. First Island from Chris VanMeter there.
Is Force of Will good against this kind of blue deck? Like, I feel like you're just pitching 2 cards, and you can accomplish literally the same thing with a point removal spell.
I've definitely I definitely see the logic behind taking the Force of Wills out against Merfolk. I think it's too slow, not too slow. I mean too much, too many cards. Is what I mean. Costs 5 mana. It's too slow.
I just think like you just have more removals or more point removals. And,
yeah.
Like plows, paths, dismembers, whatever.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, only Silvergill Adept punishes you. You.
Marrow Regery from Tony Payton. Both players doing the Kibble Shuffle.
There's so many lords. You could play like 16 lords, and like all your dudes are lords, right?
A lot of lords. Those are a lot of lords.
And Snapcaster style. Hello. Not Force of Will.
Yeah, I will give Swords to Plowshares. Flashback. Block your guy.
Kill him to death.
Yeah, block and kill your guy. And I'm going to crack this fetch land here before the end of turn.
Give you a target for your wasteland.
No, I think he just gets an island. Give him an. Yeah, I guess it's true. He's
no,
going to
use
the mana anyway.
Swords of Plowshares. He's not getting the planes.
That's true. You're right. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking.
And he will.
He's going to be using the mana anyway. I was thinking he wants to cast Swords to Plowshares, and then I was like, oh yeah, just get an island and do it.
And Snapcaster Mage just gets progressively awesomer the cheaper your instants are.
Yeah.
Like, sick instants for 1? Ugh, let me destroy your entire game. Like, that wasn't any fun at all.
Pretty much.
Oh, but
I think it was pretty fun, actually. I really liked it.
Chris VanMeter is not in...
Well, he's not in good shape as far as lands go.
Not good.
But there are no dudes on the board.
And he's, Spell Pierce that, Chris VanMeter. Spell Snare. Spell Shrug.
Nothing.
What's the name of it?
What, Spell Snare?
Spell Snare.
Spell Pierce would make Tony pay 2 more.
Yeah, and he can pay 2.
Yeah. Well, Spell
Udas Bolt.
Spell Pierce hits non-creature, so it can do that. I look at Spell Pierce and I'm like, Curse Catcher, Spell Pierce, similar. It's just 1 or 2, but it's actually.
Guy Pierce is the star of Memento.
Memento, yes. So after this, do we play game 2 after this and then game 1?
Huh? I love it. Most people didn't understand what the hell you were just talking about, by the way. Swords to Plowshares.
Swords.
Done.
Yeah, nice
successful. What is up with this? He has 2 different art of swords, at least 2 different art of Swords to Plowshares. Like I saw that with Caleb yesterday. He's like
with the islands,
like
all different
islands, all different dark rituals.
Yeah, today you're
like,
right.
Why?
Just to tilt you. You specifically.
It does tilt me, and it also helps each and every opponent you're playing against.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course you agree. It's true.
It is true. There's Phyrexian Revoker from Tony Payton.
Spell Pierce? Guy Pierce?
It's actually...
Spell Snare, right? He has a Spell Snare, no?
He does. The thing is, Spell Pierce is not a Guy Pierce. It cannot pierce guys. It can only pierce non-guys.
This is as good as when you named my book. You are a wordsmith of incomparable... You are more of a smith than Smitty.
Thank you very much. That was Jace the Mind Sculptor.
It's not Spell Pierce. It's Spell Snare. It's Jace the Mind Sculptor. Oh, that's why he's not been snaring stuff.
That's what he named. Yeah. No, it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
it is a Spell Snare. What he named was Jace the Mind Sculptor, but he just ate a plow, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So it didn't even matter. And now,
speaking of things that might not matter,
this looks like standard.
Not any kind of standard I've ever seen.
Really? You've never seen Stoneforge Mystic into Batterskull in Standard?
Against GT?
No, don't ignore that side of the board. Also ignore the land. Ignore the Tundra. And there's a dismember, which is exactly the kind of thing that Tony wants here.
Well, I mean, actually, Stoneforge Mystic and Batterskull versus Dismember, I can get behind it. Like, that is pretty standard.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. Is it June? June 2011 standard? Okay, so there is a Lord of Atlantis.
Ooh, now will he spell snare it?
Will be deserving of a spell snare. And Mental Misstep is not in the format to deal with the spell snare. And does Tony have nothing?
No.
No.
Is he,
I don't know what's in his hand.
He's spent. He's pretty spent.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is, finally found his third land a couple turns ago, and now he's got Wrath. He's got a Wrath.
How many lands are in Chris's deck?
This is
like horrible to watch. He's like just stuck forever.
24.
That's fairly high count for Legacy, right?
It's on the high end for Legacy, but it's about right for a blue-white Stoneforge deck. There's 10, 14. Yeah, it's 24 lands.
So Chris is about to hit his 5th land drop, and there's a Mutavault on the other side. What white card is that he's flipping around?
He's
is
got
that Path to
He's
Exile?
got Path.
No, he's got another.
He's got something else too.
That,
yeah.
Is that a Path to Exile?
That does look like Path, yeah.
Path is so awesome against Merfolk because they just go get another island, but who cares? Sure. Path to Exile.
Mutavault picks up Umezawa's Jite. And then eats Path to Exile. It's even better when you path a Mutavault because you just turn their Mutavault into an island,
Well, you're just keeping those Jite counters off.
Obviously,
the table.
that's the main thing, but I'm just saying, like,
basically the
turn
Wicked
the
Witch
Mutavault.
of the West. It's so hideous. Ship some of that. They seem to be having a good time. They're like laughing about stuff.
That's how I feel when I play Magic: The Gathering. At least that's how I want.
Always?
No,
Even
not
in
always.
tournaments?
Not always. Yeah.
Usually I'm like,
I hate this game.
I've got teeth sharper than the grill on Brian Kibler's Tiger shirt.
No,
This
I think,
isn't
I think
any fun at
it's
all.
awesome
Why
that
am
they're
I-
having a good time. Like,
Why have I devoted my entire adult life to it?
I think sometimes we just need to sit back and realize we're playing Magic: The Gathering. This is fun. It's a game, and it's an awesome game.
It's the awesomest game.
It really is. So Chris VanMeter has now managed to find all the lands in his deck. I mean, he was on 2 lands like
But
5
he's
minutes
actually
ago.
got a grip full of stuff still.
I know, it's
so.
nuts. He's like, it's fine. He's in really good shape.
Is
Tony,
he?
Yeah, look, Tony can't keep anything on the board. He's got islands. Like, what are you gonna do with islands?
It is land.
I mean, it's good to cast spells and everything, but Chris isn't letting him do anything with those spells.
Okay. He's like doing the Kibler shuffle. We need some action, Chris VanMeter. Dead air.
So questions from Twitter, just for those who don't know. How does playing different art help your opponent?
All right, so just say for sake of argument, I duress you on turn 1, and I see you have the Mercadian Masks, Dark Ritual, which I leave in your hand, okay? Mm-hmm. And then on turn 2, I'm sorry, on your turn 1, you play a land and Dark Ritual.
With a different Dark Ritual.
A Dark Ritual, a
Saga Dark Ritual.
Phyrexian, what's the name of the guy who Caleb played? Phyrexian Obliterator on turn 2, using a different Dark Ritual.
Right, so now you know the
Now,
other
I know that of your remaining cards, one of them is a Dark Ritual,
Yeah.
which will allow me to make better decisions than I would have been able to make had I not known that.
So speaking of Dark Rituals, not at all to do with Dark Rituals, Tony vialed in a Kira Great Glass Spinner at the end of Chris's turn, and then on his own turn, This is what's interesting. Look, on his own turn, he attempts to equip Kira with the thing, but he has to do it twice. Because Kira gives them counters the first ability, so it counters the first equip attempt, and so he has to equip again, which is not countered. And now Chris is free to go. I'm gonna path your Kira because it's already been targeted once. It's been targeted twice, in fact.
And then, oh man, he borrows the equipage of Umezawa's Jitte to crap on Kira Great Class Spinner.
Exactly.
That is actually... That's no fun.
I had a lot of fun describing exactly that. I mean,
I think that would have
been
been very fun from Chris VanMeter's side of the table, and very unfun from Tony's side of the table.
I don't like Merfolk.
It is the bluest deck you could possibly play. How do you not like it?
No, it's the bluest deck I could possibly hate because it's so anti-blue. It is very anti-blue.
No Brainstorm?
Yeah, no Brainstorm. I mean, it's really, it's kind of like a, I don't know, it's like a snake in the grass.
Ooh,
and there's a
there
Stoneforge
she
Mystic.
is. Is she gonna stick? Good.
I mean, looks like
Umezawa's Jitte. I just like, would you just hard cast that to get rid of that Jitte now? No reason to sit around.
He's got
right?
the Batterskull already.
I mean, I guess he can hard cast Force of Will. I wouldn't mind doing that.
He's hard casting the G-Tech.
Yeah. Thunk. Legend rule.
Dead G-Tech.
I mean, in some cases, like certain cards are very expensive, and you play with whichever ones you have.
And sometimes you build your deck.
But like some cards are
right?
like 25-cent Dark Rituals. You know, like you can match them. I think.
Yeah.
Or like Sword Supply Shares. Like, let's see.
So there's a Dismember for the Stoneforge Mystic.
This is like such a Trish game. You know, like Chris is getting 2-for-1, 2-for-1, and then like Tony's like throwing a card at it. I think at one point Trish is just going to slam down that big threat.
Oh, well, Batterskull's in his hand and he's got plenty of land.
I guess this is the answer.
How about
I've waited long enough.
Time to batter some skulls.
Resolves.
Germ. That is the whitest black germ I've ever seen.
Germ.
And shiny.
All right. 15 to 19 will soon be 19 to 15. So Bella Flores thinks like Baneslayer Angel is like the greatest card ever.
Who gave her that idea?
Probably Brian Kibler.
Fair enough. So
because whenever you attack with it, like not only is your opponent's life total go down, but your life total goes up by a commensurate amount. So she thinks of that as who's winning. Like if somebody's lower,
right. What's the score? Right.
Yeah. Like she'll describe to you like who's winning in chess by like material point valuations, and so she's like, well, that's only worth 4 points, you know, whatever. This is worth more points, and so she's like, oh, life total is winning. So she thinks it's very good.
Tony Payton gets a Lord of Atlantis onto either the stack or the board. It was not. He did not vial it in because he's got one vial on one counter and the other vial on 3. So he actually had to cast the Lord of Atlantis,
And
which just left it open for a spell snare. So Lord of Atlantis gets spell snared, and now Batterskull and Mutavault rumble over from Chris VanMeter into Tony Payton's life total.
Was there? I mean, he has Wrath of God. I guess he didn't want to kill his germ.
Hey, why Wrath? There's no reason to Wrath right now.
I'm not saying there's, like, you know, like he could have pierced something or snared something else.
No.
6 again, up to 22.
I see what you're saying. Like, he could have just let the
doesn't
board
have
stick
to,
around.
yeah.
It doesn't represent much until there's more guys on board, and then he could just Wrath. But just deal with it.
Oh, he has
Wasteland for the
Snappy. He's got Snappy
Yeah, that's right.
there.
He also has Snapcaster.
This game has just gotten out of hand for Tony. Like,
Chris has dealt with everything, and it just became
Mind Sculptor.
The strongest plays in Standard,
like, well,
coming to you straight from Legacy.
I decided to do nothing for the last 15 turns, but now I will play Batterskull, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and Snapcaster Mage for another Jace the Mind Sculptor. Sculptor. So 26-3, tremendous material advantage.
Who's winning?
I would
Well, what's the
hazard that
score?
Chris is winning.
What's the score? So yeah, I mean, are they shuffling up for the next game? No, they're not.
No, this is game
at
3.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot this is game 3. So Tony is trying to win at one life. Try to find an answer. I think Chris should go on the Jace plan now. Just Fate Seal and then Mind Sculpt. Just for fun.
And on 1,
He's gonna Fate Seal himself. No,
he's
brainstorms,
gonna
I'm sorry.
brainstorm.
Hey, I'm just
There's
saying.
no bad ideas when you're brainstorming.
It looks like a Fate Seal when you pick up one card. When he went for the second one, it was the Brainstorm.
He has a true brainstorming grip. Drew Levin doesn't look happy. Viling and Lord of Atlantis. Snappy for Path of Exile. And
Chris
that's it.
VanMeter and Snapcaster Mage take down the match, beating the Merfolk with Batter Skull, Jason the Mind Sculptor, Stoneforge Mystic. Only